I became an actor, I never fantasized about playing James Bond. As a kid, yeah. But that was being James Bond, that was something else.
Welcome to Being James Bond, the longest running James Bond podcast in the world.
The name is Bond. James Bond.
And welcome to another episode of Being James Bond. I am your good buddy, head of section, Joseph Darlington. How are you doing? So we're going to keep the momentum going. We're talking again about all of the things that are coming up in 2025, all of the great Bond events, and hopefully you will find one in your neck of the woods, or hopefully you can travel to at least one, which is what I'm doing this year. I chose just one that I'm going to travel to and be a part of, and I'm very excited about that. But yeah, a lot of us, it's a little tricky trying to get out of our neck of the woods. So it's wonderful when Bond events and groups pop up in certain areas that might be a little more geographically desirable. One such group is Capitol Royale. It's a group of Bond fans that you probably know, who have gathered together to do events in the Washington, D.C. area, that part of Virginia, the East Coast. So again, if you can't make it overseas, if you can't make it to a gather-all, if you're not a West Coaster, hey, this might be an option for you. And this group did not come out slowly. They didn't start off with a little whimper. They came out pretty strong and have put together a serious bunch of events that will happen in the coming year. Some of it has already happened. There was one just this past weekend, which you will hear about in the future tense. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it because I had an obligation, but I do plan on going to the next one, so very worth checking out. And by the way, I pulled in Melanie, who you might know on Instagram as Burb, James Burb. She is one of the ones spearheading this initiative. And I have to tell you, I really have to tell you, Melanie is fascinating to talk to. When we recorded the interview you're about to hear, we talked probably for a good 2 hours. And we were off on really deep tangents really quickly. So yeah, Melanie is pretty interesting, and I hope that this interview does her justice because it's only a portion of the time we spoke. But yeah, so anyway, Melanie is really key in getting these events happening. So again, I wanted to talk to her. So let's bring her in. This is Melanie Burb, James Burb. We're going to talk about Capitol Royale and the events happening in 2025.
Transmission begins from Moneypenny.
Burb, James Burb. Melanie, what's going on?
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be on Being James Bond.
Thank you for being here. I had to because I've been hearing about all the great things that Capitol Royale is doing, so I had to go right to the source. And I did ask around, and your name was the one that kept coming up. It was like, Melanie's the one you really want to talk to about all this good stuff. So she's really the core of all this.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of everyone who shared that with you, but I could definitely not do this by myself. I do have a co-founder here in DC. His name is Christian. He is at home. He's a busy fellow working. He has two, one is a newborn. I think she's just like 2-3 months old. So he's a busy fellow, but I could definitely not do all of this without some help because it is a big undertaking. So I've got to give a shout out to him right off the bat too.
Very cool. Well, actually, the first thing I wanted to ask you was basically how this group sort of came to be. I feel like, a few months ago, maybe a year ago or so, I started hearing about Capitol Royale. And I was like, okay, what is this? What's going on? So how did this all sort of come to be?
Okay, so this was back, it was about a year ago now, where we all found out the International Spy Museum located down in the district, because this is a DC area group. I do want to make that clear. This is not a politically fueled organization. It is literally just, based off of our area. The International Spy Museum had Bond in Motion coming. So, of course, everyone was very, very excited about that. I know at one point, our friend David with the Bond Experience was tossing around the idea of potentially doing a gather-all and bringing some folks to Bond in Motion. I know that didn't work out, but that's kind of what sort of sparked some of us to say, hey, let's make this a thing. Let's have our own miniature gathering, get some East Coast peeps who are really psyched on going to see the special exhibit to get together. So we planned it for April. In the spring, DC is gorgeous in the spring with the cherry blossoms and everything. And we got a group of about 30 people, some coming from New York, Ohio, down from Georgia up to the DC area. And then we also had a bunch of locals we were able to reach out to. Now, this was all kind of happening organically, just people we know. Like, hey, I had a couple of friends that I've met through the James Bond fandom up in the Wisconsin area. This is a great opportunity for us to finally meet in person, chat about our favorite spy. We've spent years getting to know each other through Instagram and Zoom chats and stuff like that. So we ended up gathering, like I said, it was about over 30 people came to the area. And I was really struggling in planning this to find a restaurant and bar after museum activities for us. So I reached out to a friend that I had met who volunteers at the Spy Museum. His name is Christian. I mentioned him earlier. And just said, hey, I'm bringing all these people. You're in DC, I'm in DC. Do you have any suggestions? Well, he was instrumental in saying, hey, there's this awesome place within walking distance of the Spy Museum. This would be a great place for us to gather afterwards. And then he took it one step further, where he got, because he volunteers through the Spy Museum, he got this big basket full of all of these different items to give away as the special free promo as part of this, hey, come. And he handed out little cards, and whose card has the star on it, and you win this prize package. And then he also arranged for our group the rooftop of the Spy Museum, which is it's closed to the public, but a lot of times they'll hold private events up there. And he arranged for all of us to get taken up to the roof to see these beautiful vistas. You could see the Washington Monument and the Capitol building. It was just a great time. We had an absolute ball. And, as things were starting to wind down, Christian and I were talking, and we just said, this was so much fun. This was such a great time. We should do something like this more often. And so that led to the birth of the club.
Wow.
So last year we had a couple of events. We had about 4 events. We did a cigar, meet and greet type thing. We did a game night, and then we did a golf, a little mini golf tournament, golf finger. So we did about 4 events last year. And this year, we've doubled it. So now we've got 8 events, including one event of those 8 is going to be a big 3-day weekend full of spy-related activities.
Oh, my God. That's incredible. I have to tell you, and I know you probably know what I'm going to say before I even say it, but I just absolutely positively love hearing. I feel like over the last few years, I hear of influencers in different parts of the country. But I love hearing about groups that start to spring up in different parts of the country to start to create events and do things where people can get together. And you know what I mean? We do things over here in the Northeast part of America. There's things happening over in the UK. And I feel like people are kind of itching for more things to happen closer to them. So things happening in different parts of the country is just absolutely terrific. I love this.
Yeah, it's really great. I think that's something that I think most Europeans don't really understand about the United States is how huge it is.
Yes.
And it's really difficult. I know there was an event, back in early November in San Diego. It's easier for me in the DC area to fly to a GB Club event in London than it would be to trek, like get on a flight
Right. Yes.
and go out to San Diego.
Yeah.
We are seeing more of that. I know, the gather-alls that you and David have put together have been really popular, but now the Bond brothers are doing something down in Florida.
Yep.
We have a sort of a little bit of a sibling organization called To Live and Let Die in LA that's out on the West Coast. But after we started Capitol Royale, had someone reach out to me saying, hey, we really like what your group is doing. Sort of what are your rules? How are you kind of organizing it? And they started this LA group, and they're doing happy hours and stuff like that as well. So it's really exciting. I think, there's so many other fandoms that have big Comic-Cons and gatherings and things like that. And the other thing that I found is a lot of the James Bond themed events tend to be, and of course it fits, you're pulling on a tuxedo. A lot of them are more lavish galas. And not everyone can attend like a $300 ticketed event. So to have opportunities for us like Gatherall or some of these other things where, you can turn up if you've got a more modest budget and still experience the James Bond, fun and share with friends. It's been good.
Yeah, that is absolutely terrific. You're absolutely right. I absolutely love all that stuff. So I want to start to pick your brain and say, okay, so let's say I'm somebody who's not too far from DC and I want to get involved. What's the first thing you've got on the docket there? What's the first thing on the calendar?
Well, the first, I will say, if you are interested in attending any events, the first thing that I would recommend you do is show up on any of our socials. We're on Facebook and Instagram. It's Capitol Royale 007, and sign up to be a member. Membership is free, so there's no charge. That way you'll get all of the email invitations, the alerts. You'll find out everything that we're doing. But we're kicking off this 2025 season with an On Her Majesty's Secret Service themed happy hour at a retro bar in Arlington called, appropriately, 1969. So that's going to be sort of a big meet and greet mixer that we'll be doing, get to kind of know everyone, have a drink or two. That's going to be at 4 p.m. on Saturday, March 8th. So that's how we're kicking off the whole plan. We've got some stickers and poker chips and things to give away to our members and guests.
I have to tell you, I heard about this from Dave Zaritsky for the first time a few weeks ago, and as we were talking, I was literally looking at my calendar, and I was like, "Oh, can I make this?" And I can't do this because I have a church. You'll appreciate this. I have a church function that I committed myself to, and I can't not do. But honestly, when I heard you guys were going to a bar called 1969, I was born in October 1969. I was like, oh, how am I not going to this? This is so perfect. But
yeah, and I'm encouraging all of the fellas to wear their kilts.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Seriously, it's my year and my favorite Bond movie. Like, oh, that hurts.
We're gonna take it over. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
Well, hopefully there's some other events because, as I said, we've got a lot planned. So hopefully one of these other ones will be one that you can come down for.
Absolutely. I think there's another one coming up after that.
We have a bunch. I can run down the list.
Yeah, let's hear what else you got. Let me hear.
Okay, yeah. So we have at the convention center in the district. There's an Awesome Con. I have never been to any of these Comic-Cons or anything like that. This Awesome Con, it's 3 days. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, April 4th, 5th, and 6th. We're trying to nail down, because they're still working on the program. So we're trying to nail down when our group will be getting together. But John Rhys Davies, as well as Robert Davi, are going to be at the event signing autographs. I think they're going to be on some different panels where you can ask questions. So if you are, especially like a Timothy Dalton Bond fan, that would be something fun to do. And then Christian, the co-founder, he hosts, he's done this con for a while. And every year he hosts a cheesy line reading contest. And so he'll pick different sort of, fandoms to go through, like, Star Trek or Star Wars or something. And so this year he's putting together cheesy line reading for James Bond. So that'll be something really fun we can do.
Oh,
so cool. That'll be great. But we're as I said, they're still putting together the program for that. So we'll be getting some details out as things get nailed down into place. But the big one, if you're looking to come down from Jersey, is our Moonraker Memorial Weekend event. So I mentioned earlier, we've got a big 3-day event coming up, and it will be Memorial Day weekend. We're going to be visiting the Udvar Hazy Air and Space Museum. That is one of the Smithsonian museums. There's one on the National Mall in DC, but the Udvar Hazy is actually located in North Virginia, out near Dulles Airport. And it is phenomenal, just like huge hangars full of these ships. I know they have like a space shuttle. The Discovery, I think, is in there. Mm-hmm. One of the space shuttles. They've got the Boeing, also from Moonraker, the actual Boeing that was used in Moonrakers in there. And then they have, I can't remember the name of the little plane that was in Octopussy, but they have one of those in there as well. So we're going to go out, visit there. We'll have dinner, drinks. We're going to be going to a spy-themed espionage adventure room on Sunday. So this is a little different from an escape room. This is more like back in the day when you had choose your own adventure books. Okay. They present you with all of these stories, and then you've got to kind of make choices. So the fun thing about it is you can go through this room, a dozen different times, and based off of your choices, end it in a dozen different ways, versus an escape room where you do it once, solve the puzzles, and are done.
Okay.
So we'll be doing that. We've got games at this place called Punch Bowl.
This is all Memorial Day weekend still?
All Memorial Day weekend.
Oh my God.
We'll also be doing a walking tour down in the district to talk about real life spy spots, espionage spots. Mm-hmm. For those who have not been able to go to Bond in Motion at the International Spy Museum, it'd be a good opportunity to check that out. And we also have a huge Memorial Weekend parade on that Monday. So that'll be sort of the culmination of the event. Is we get a lot of veterans come out for that. Rolling Thunder has always been a big part of that. So it's also, a time to honor all of those who have served as well.
What day is Memorial Day weekend, by the way?
That is going to be May 24th through the 26th. So it's going to be, if you came in Friday, you can either come in Friday like the 23rd, but our events are really going to be kicking off that Saturday through Monday.
Okay. Yeah. I'm only asking because I'm looking at my calendar and I'm actually making check marks while we talk.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Yeah, and if we do have any Bond fans who like to ride, as I said, there's a huge the Rolling Thunder on the motorcycles is a big part of that parade. So we'd love to see some of our members actually participate in that.
Nice. And honestly, what are the flowers that are so famous for growing in the spring in DC?
The cherry blossoms, yeah.
Right. Yeah. What a great time to go down to DC is that weekend too, by the way.
Yeah, it's DC is beautiful in the spring. It really is. Yeah, and this is another thing too that I want to mention as well. Just sort of a little bit of the philosophy. I know, when Christian and I put this group together, I already mentioned, we talked about how we want this to be something that's really accessible to anyone who wants to join. And meaning, if you have a modest budget, do the walking tour with us. It doesn't cost anything. Stand, watch the Memorial Day parade and just join a bunch of friends. Whenever we have these happy hours, there's no event fee with any of this. It's going to be whatever you choose to eat and drink. If you just want to join the gang, now there are some things that we do, like I said, the espionage experience, adventure, where you choose your own adventure. That is going to cost a fee. You don't have to do it. You can just join us at Punch Bowl and do darts with us afterwards or something. So we wanted to make sure that based off of everyone's budgets, you're free to join us. Just pay your own way for whatever you consume. And the other thing, too, is we wanted to have some family-friendly events. DC is a great spot for people to come and visit with the kids. As I mentioned, the Oud Farhazi Air and Space Museum, all the Smithsonian museums are free. You can join us for that. And if your kids want to go next to the Natural History Museum or like the Smithsonian Museum of American History, there's so many things that you can pop in and do a few bond events with us and then spend some time with your family too. So it's a great tourist spot, and there's so many opportunities for families here. Obviously, we'll have some after-hour adult, drinks and stuff like that, but there's no reason why you can't join us earlier in the day with the kids if you wanted to.
That's absolutely spectacular. That's awesome.
Well, fingers crossed you can join us.
I literally put it on my calendar, so I
Awesome.
as of right now, I think I will be able to make that one. So I
Awesome.
put it this way. I honestly, before we even started talking, I said, okay, I have to at least pick one of these things to get myself to, because I feel, again, I'm an East Coast guy. It's not right, it's not right around the corner. It's a little bit of a drive, but I don't, again, it's close enough that I could definitely swing this.
Exactly. And I mean, I think, that's the thing of it too, is even for folks who are living, in Europe or our friends over in Great Britain, our nation's capital is a great place to come and visit. If you want a taste of America, I know a lot of people go to New York. There's a lot of tourism there, but, DC is another great spot. Come and join us, do a couple of things, and then, get your tourist on and and check out the other great things that this city has to offer. This is a great area. So
What's next?
All right, we'll move on to the next. June, Saturday 28th. We actually, in the DC area, there is a group of escape rooms, and it's actually called Bond's Escape Rooms. So we will be doing, we're still narrowing down the time. We're going to have to figure out how many people we have and block some rooms and stuff, but we will be doing an escape room followed by dinner nearby, drinks afterwards. And then August, Saturday 16th at 1 p.m., this is also going to be in Arlington, Virginia. There is this really great place. We did this last year. So this will be our second annual For Your Dice Only. And it's going to be a James Bond board game event. So we've got a ton of different games that we bring, from backgammon to, James Bond bingo, all sorts of different things. And it's at a place in Arlington called the Board Room, which is literally just a gigantic restaurant and bar that is built and designed for gamers. So,
Cool.
So that'll be our second annual. And then Saturday, September 6th at 4 p.m., this one's going to be in Frederick, Maryland. We're going to Precision Point Shooting and Training. So we've got several members who are very comfortable with firearms who will be joining us and, teaching us to do target practice for those who are comfortable. Again, you're welcome to just show up, watch. If you do want to bring one of your own weapons to use on the shooting range, you can. The cost of this event would be the lane and any bullets if you were to buy any ammunition there. And then again, we'll be doing dinner and drinks after that words. So
Nice.
we have a lot of folks in this area who have served in the intelligence community or military. So if you're not comfortable with guns, even if this is your first time and it's something you're interested in, there will be some Walther PPKs there that you can test out. So, and people who are very knowledgeable to make you more comfortable with that process.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is right. If this is something you never tried before and you literally never fired a gun before, this is probably a very good group to say, okay, I kind of want to give this a try.
Yeah,
Say that I've done it once.
Exactly. There are a lot of people here who will make sure you know how to approach this safely and are comfortable. So
Excellent.
that'll be a fun time. And then October 11th, which is a Saturday, we have our second annual golf finger event.
Nice.
That's going to be in Alexandria, and it's we do like a little mini golf tournament and hit the driving range. And last year, oh my goodness, the photographs, because Chris Hunt, a British Bond addict, as well as Christian, who is 007. You can check out their personal accounts, but they dressed up like Goldfinger and Bond, and the pictures are phenomenal.
Oh my God.
This year we're doing it in October. We have a rain date of October 18th. Bless their hearts. Last year it was like in June or July, and they were out there in those heavy sweaters, just sweating to death. So, but it was a really fun time. We just have a little prize at the end for whoever wins the mini golf tournament. We're not real golfers. We just hit the driving range and have fun with it. But we'll be doing that. And then our final event is going to be in November at the International Spy Museum. This is going to be the 19th annual time, I think, that they've done this. They have a parade of Trabants. So I'm not sure if you know much about these cars, but they're like the little tiny cardboard cars that were used in Germany. Like,
Oh, really? No, I've never heard of this.
It's the wildest thing. Every year like I said, they've been doing this now. I think this is the 19th one, I believe. But it's the largest collection of these people who have some of these cars, and they'll come out and parade all around. But I think, when you talk about like what East Germany, I think it was one of the cars that, people would use to escape, or, I don't know the full history behind it. I wish Christian was here because he could delve into it much deeper. But they have this parade of these cars. We don't have a date set for that yet. The Spy Museum hasn't released that, but that will be our final event. It's usually in early November. So we'll get out details for that. And again, the best way to find out about all of these, follow our socials. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Capitol Royale 007. Sign up. It's free, and you can get the latest alerts and details in your email as well.
That's great. I mean, that's just awesome, honestly. By the way, when you mentioned, I had a flash when you mentioned the, playing the board games and stuff, and you brought up Chris's name. I think he told you about when we did the racetrack weekend.
Yeah.
Chris was there, and Kyle and Ray, and I swear I laughed so hard that weekend. I laughed, and again, you made me think of it because you mentioned games, and we were playing fishbowl.
Yes.
Oh my God, we were hysterical. I laughed so hard. I swear, I think that was the hardest I've laughed in a long time. It was so funny. We had such a good time. So it's just kind of a tribute to this group. Honestly, you do these things with the right people, and it's just such a good time.
That is what this group is all about. Getting together, having fun. I do feel the DC area, obviously, where we're located, there's a lot of very politically charged people.
Right.
It's nice to get together with folks, put all the politics aside, and do something that we can all agree on, which is James Bond is the best spy ever. So
Exactly right.
Have fun, have some laughs. Of course, I'm biased because that's my boyfriend, but Chris is always a fun time. And we have a great time as a group. I've met some folks through the club, which I had never met before. And it's just expanding this friend circle, getting together, sharing who is your favorite actor, which is your favorite movie, hearing everyone's stories. It's a great time. I already know going into this happy hour, we're going to be talking about like the big, what do you think is going to happen with Amazon? And
right.
I know, it's so great to just get together, have a drink and chat one of our favorite subjects with other like-minded people. So it's fun.
I had the same thought too. And I thought, before you said it, I said, it's funny how like this year of all years, you have to figure between now and let's say by the end of the year, I would venture to guess that every month or two, there's going to be some new little tidbits that are going to come out. And we're all going to be sitting there going like, what do you think of this? What do you think about this thing that just happened? We're already buzzing like crazy about the whole Amazon takeover or whatever. So between now and the end of the year, there's going to be tons to talk about. They were all just going to I need to see my people and talk about what do you think of this?
It's so great. It's so great because I know like for those of us, now I'm very lucky because I ended up meeting my boyfriend through the fan community. So the two of us can share, our thoughts. But he's like, I'm so lucky that my girlfriend is a Bond fan and I don't have to force this on some innocent soul who doesn't care.
Right. I have a lot of yeah, right, exactly. Did you hear about the Amazon thing? No, and I don't care. What do you right? By the way, since you brought it up, it's kind of cool. I feel like I don't know if a lot of people know this, but you have one of the love stories of the Bond community, which I think is pretty spectacular.
It's crazy. I know. Yeah, Chris and I met. Sort of like Capitol Royale, the club, everything happened very organically. We had been communicating just like most of us in the pandemic. We're speculating, oh no, the movie got pushed back again. When are we going to see it? Everyone's doing like Zoom trivias and book clubs, the Fleming Reading Challenge and all of this stuff. And we're having these Zoom meetings and he and I just started conversing through social media. One of